Is working now? Okay. Okay, so does it work now? Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay. So let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this panel, which is called Towards Cleaner and More Efficient Heating Systems. My name is Martin Hayek, and I will be moderator to this distinguished panel. And before I get to my speakers, I will shortly introduce the topic of the panel. Despite covering 50% of energy demand, heating sector remains still rather neglected in EU policies and also in the legislative framework. Unlike electricity and hydrogen, which get much more attention, hot water is most natural, efficient and clean and also safe energy carrier to get energy into your home. It doesn't explode, it doesn't kill you when you touch it. So it's really, really important source which unfortunately is rather neglected in EU policy. District heating, as you know, has been historically developed in Central and Eastern Europe. In Poland, they have 6 million households connected to district heating, which is rather something over 40% of the population. In the Czech Republic, we have a little bit less than 40% of population. In Slovakia, is 1/3 of the population. So it's a very important sector in those countries. And certainly, what we need to see is a transition in this sector from fossil fuels. The sector is still very, very much depending on fossil fuel and coal in particular, to renewable energy and also waste heat. So today we are going to discuss how to do this transition, how to get to really efficient and low carbon heating, and what are the legislative barriers and policies needed really to deliver, and not only to decarbonize district heating sector and heating sector and the whole heating sector, but also how to grow district heating, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. So that's for the introduction, and let me introduce our speakers today. I'm the most lucky moderator in the whole conference, as I have all ladies panel. So first one is Wanda Buk. She is a Vice President of the Management Board for Regulatory Affairs in PGE, Polska Grupa Energetyczna. Eva Hoss is joining us online. She is a policy officer in renewables and energy system integration policy in DG Energy. So hopefully, Eva, can you hear us? You don't know. Hopefully. And we have Biljana Grbić, who is a consultant at Energy Community, helping contracting parties to align their legislation with EU legislation. And she is also active in research in regulatory and policy aspect of district heating in the University of Vienna. Unfortunately, we have two apologies by Pau Garcia Audi and Jerome Valete, who are unfortunately sick and cannot take part in the panel as was announced. So that's for the introduction. Please also you can put your questions on Slido. We will get to those questions, so don't hesitate. And if you have question, let's Slido. And I will give the floor to the first speaker, which is Wanda Buk, with her presentation. So please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the introduction. I'm from PGE, Polish Capital Group. We are the biggest Polish energy company when it comes to energy generation. We deliver the energy to over 5.5 million customers. And when it comes to district heating system, we are also a significant player, as you can see here. We own more or less 25% of market in cogenerated heat. We have 16 CHPs, which are right now mostly coal-based. We have over 677 kilometers of distribution network, and we deliver heat to almost 2 million end users, which is out of total 6 million connected to the district heating system household in Poland. I just want you to put you in the picture of our current situation that we are facing right now. Every one of you knows the struggles that the energy market is going through this year and the last year as well. It's not only because of the gas prices, which are sixfold. It's not only because of hard coal prices, which are 3 times fold, but also it's because of EU ETS allowances system. And it's not only about the price itself, which are high, but it's also about the volatility of the system. And we are operating nowadays on a daily basis, like kind of a sailors in the storm, and we cannot focus on our green agenda and the straight path to the shore to get the climate neutrality, as we have to focus on surviving the daily waves that happen to us because of the EU ETS system. So at the same time, we are asked by the we are expected by the policymakers to accelerate and speed up green transition, but also to keep our conventional assets up and running, because everyone expects in the European Union that our citizens in Poland and in other countries will have an access to the energy. So as you can see, the expectations are huge, but no one has the answers how to make it doable. And this is our reality right now. Welcome to our world. Nevertheless, we were the first Polish energy company that announced green neutrality. We're going to deliver climate neutrality till 2050, but when it comes to district heating system, we want to completely phase out coal in our assets within this decade. So we have to build almost 2 thermal gigawatts to replace our coal-fired assets, which will bring the emission reduction of 50%. And as I said, we're going to deliver this within up till 2030. So still 7 years left. This is how our portfolio will look like in 2030. We are considering different technologies. We are considering electrode boilers. We are consider waste heat, biomass, geothermal, and heat pumps, obviously. But the significant role will be played by natural gas. You are here talking about switching from gas to hydrogen and other sources. I mean, here in Slovakia, but in Poland, we are talking about switching from coal to gas. And the problem is that we cannot switch to other renewable in many areas because our reality and the circumstances that we are operating in don't allow it. We need high temperature when it comes to our sources because our network are not yet adjusted to lower temperature, and our buildings are not modernized enough to, for example, be fed by renewables. And you can see, probably some of you know that we've noted a huge increase of heat pumps in Poland last year and also this year. Very interesting report was released recently. There is a significant increase, it's skyrocketed, the number of households with heat pumps, but we are talking about district heating systems and the large agglomerations and the geographical challenges that do not allow us to replace the coal plants with renewables. We do scrutinize electrode boilers. We already have 2 of them installed in Tri-City, but these are mostly answers to our peak demand, but we're also going to explore that in the future. When it comes to emission reduction that we want to deliver with this green transition path, you can see that we are facing a lot of challenges. If we want to deliver emission reduction, the only way, as I mentioned, is to switch from coal to gas. That's the first step for us, for Poland. But if we want to deliver it till 2030, we have to take the investment decision now, because those installations that are commissioning this year in 2023, in 2022, in 2023, and for as well, where these decision investments were taken in 2017, 2018. So this process lasts. And if we want to deliver, if we want to bring the quicker emission, well, we need to take the decision now. And of course, it's a very difficult time because no one knows whether there will be a sufficient supply of the gas in Europe, but we are pretty sure that when it comes to Poland, gas will remain a significant source in district heating. But the only thing is to no longer use the Russian gas. We no longer using Russian gas. We already deployed LNG and Baltic pipe, which are very significant, which were extremely significant investments for us. And we have no doubts that we will be using them for years, especially when it comes, as I say, to district heating. Last slide that I want to share with you is about currently ongoing legislation. We have energy efficiency and renewable energy directives, also EPBD ongoing right now. And these are the pieces of legislation that will ultimately decide whether the inevitable and already ongoing transformation in district heating system will be carried out in a consistent and sustainable manner, whether it will be additional burden for our citizens, because I think that we can all agree that there is no turning back when it comes to transition in district heating system. But the question right now is how to make it doable in the circumstances that we are facing right now and not put the additional burden for people. So here you have 4 policy requests from Polish sides. The first one is to recognize CHP-based condition in the new definition of efficient DHC system after 2035, as it was already agreed in the Council, apply a new emission criterion for high efficiency cogeneration only for new and refurbished building. It was also supported by the Council. The third one is to introduce provision on renewable power to heat in the Renewable Energy Directive revision, acknowledging all technologies, and it's supported by the Parliament. And last, but obviously not least, enable to connect new buildings to every efficient district heating system under the new EPBD, as it was already agreed by in the general approach of the Council. Just to sum up, I'm calling European Union representative to make the situation to no longer be that being radical in nowadays circumstances could be counterproductive. So we need to be really very smart about it right now. It's a very crucial moment for all of us to deliver climate neutrality in district heating systems. So that's from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I think it very much summarizes the situation and challenges in all Central and Eastern European countries. even though, of course, each country is different. If each country has a little bit different energy mix, I think that the overall situation is very similar, and we face, I would say, shared challenges. But now I would like to give floor to Eva Hos. Eva, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, you cannot see me. So may I share my screen? Does it make sense or not?
Yeah, you can. I think you can. You can try at least.
But we have a screen there to see it. Because I will try then to do that. Okay, so I would continue with a bit the discussion that was started by the previous speaker and you, Martin, that indeed the heating and cooling sector is coming now to the forefront. This has been a sector that was and still is quite largely neglected in the development of renewables, energy efficiency, and also the internal market in the last 10-20 years, although it has started to move a bit with the adoption of the Energy Efficiency Directive in 2010 and the Renewable Energy Directive in 2018 that have dedicated provisions on the heating and cooling sector. Where we are today is that we still have more than 3/4 of the heating supply from fossil fuels. There was not much progress in the last 10 years, unlike in the electricity sector. So now at this moment when we are facing the need to accelerate the phasing out of fossil fuels, including natural gas, due to the geopolitical crisis and the unavailability of the Russian gas, which was is still a very important supply source, especially for the Eastern Central European countries. We suddenly face a situation when we need to find alternatives very quickly and start moving on the road to transition the heating and cooling sector towards more sustainable solutions very fast. Out of the overall heating and cooling sector, where we need really to act because it is 50% of the EU energy consumption. So if we don't do anything on that sector, there is no real chance to really reach the 55% greenhouse gas reduction target that is part of the so-called Fit for 55 package. A very big legislative package that the Commission proposed in 2021. And then we would even have less chance to face the current crisis and the goals that have been enshrined in the Repower EU communication and plan that was adopted on the 18th of May this year. So there is now a crunch time where we need to do something in this sector. If we look at the district heating subsector within the heating systems, what we see that there the situation is only slightly better because there around one third of the supply comes from renewables, but still the part of natural gas, coal, oil together is very, very significant. The less good news is that this 1/3 of the renewable part is mostly coming from biomass, and going forward it is going to be problematic because as long as we keep that level of biomass and we don't plan to increase it substantially, there are perhaps not big issues with sustainability and availability, but obviously it would be quite problematic to rely on a single source to replace the very big amount of fossil fuels going up to around 400 MTOE or 300 at least if we look at the projections for demand reduction and energy efficiency. So that's still a very vast amount of energy that is needed just for the heating and cooling sector, and it's quite clear that this cannot come from biomass alone. So we need to ramp up those types of technologies that are not combustion technologies and that do not require high temperature heating systems, as this is mostly the case today. So what are those sources? Obviously geothermal. Geothermal is actually an unlimited source. The shallow geothermal can be easily used through heat pumps, which are very efficient, and they have a COP of 4 or higher. That means that they maximize heat production, and the energy input, the electricity, is really minimum. Then we also have solar thermal that counterintuitively is very big in countries where you would not expect to be, such as Denmark, not exactly a very southern country, but still they are leading in solar thermal district heating systems, and so does, for example, Austria.
Eva, can I ask you? Can I ask you? Could you please put it on the whole screen, because we are still seeing just the first slide. If you could maximize it on the whole screen.
It's maximized on my screen.
Okay. I think it was there.
Okay,
yeah, because,
I will do it again. Is it better?
Not really, not really.
Yeah. I don't know. Yes,
I think if you can double click on the slide, I think it will.
Okay, I will double click. Sorry, hold on. I have to double click. Okay, I will do it again and then double click. Is it okay? No.
No.
Very strange, because on my screen, that's I put it on full screen.
Okay. Wow. Well.
Anyway.
Well.
So you can also read my notes. That's
okay.
Anyway, so what I'm trying to say that there would be a need to start to ramp up those kind of technologies that are fully tried, but today have really marginal shares. So solar thermal, geothermal, heat pumps, and including industrial and tertiary sector waste heat, which is not renewable, but is recognized as a possible resource to fulfill the definition of efficient district heating and cooling, and also the district heating and cooling target. So now we come to the Fit for 55 package that was mentioned in the previous presentation, and also the Repower EU. So the Fit for 55 made the heating and cooling sector a key element of the revised Renewable Energy Directive proposal, which set out an overall 40% renewable energy target for Europe. But this target, in view of the recent geopolitical events, doesn't seem to be sufficient. So in the Repower EU, so this year in May, the Commission amended this revision proposal and suggested that the renewable energy target should be raised to 45%. And similar ambition increase has been performed with the energy efficiency target, whereby the REPowerEU suggested that instead of 9%, the target should be 13%. Just as a footnote, this 9% and 30% is defined against the new baseline, the 2020 baseline. The current target is 32.5, and this is defined against the 2007 baseline, where the European Union had a very, very high energy consumption. That was the last year of the economic expansion before the 2008 financial crisis and the ensuing economic downturn. So this ambitious target has been translated for heating and cooling into a binding baseline target of 1.1 percentage point average annual increase in the share of renewables in this very big sector. And the aim is to ensure that at least 40% of the heating and cooling supply would be provided from renewables. The proposal also strengthened the district heating and cooling target from the current 1.1 percentage point annual increase. It was raised to 2.1. That's an indicative target, and the Commission introduced a new target, new renewable target for the building sector, the EU building sector, of 49% renewable energy share.
Emma, yes? we can see you now perfect, but you are not clicking. Yeah, you are not changing the slides. Okay, so thank you. Just
you see it now?
Yeah. Now we can see it perfect. Yeah.
Okay, I am making it big.
You just need to change slides, otherwise it works now perfect.
Sorry. It's very strange that it doesn't follow my screen.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. What about now?
Now it's perfect. Now it's perfect. We see the slide, okay. Everything fine.
For 49%. Now, we didn't propose to raise this sector target in the REPowerEU to be adjusted for the 45% increase of the overall renewable target, but we made an additional impact assessment, and that has shown that this sectoral target would be needed to be higher. So instead of for the heating and cooling sector, we would need an overall 2.3 percentage point annual increase. That means that we could keep the 1.1 percentage binding level and then add up member state specific increases, so-called top-ups. So at EU level, we can come up to a 2.3 percentage point increase annually. District heating, the same. So this would need to have a 2.3 percentage point annual renewable share increase, and the building target would need to go up to 60% in 2030. Now, so that is basically an ideal situation where this heating and cooling sector contributes to the overall target proportionately, meaning to the extent that it's basically 50% of the EU consumption. It really needs to be a much higher burden. But that's an ideal approach. What we have now is the trilogue negotiations are ongoing, and actually there is a provisional agreement between the European Parliament and the Council on how to move forward. And perhaps the good news for you that the co-legislators agreed to include renewable electricity fully into the district heating and cooling target, so you can, so this will be possible to count in the target. So that solution, that situation has been solved. Now, moving forward, and I have a new slide. I hope you see it. The REPowerEU also proposed specific actions on heat pump deployments as basically the central major technology that can replace gas and oil boilers on a one-on-one basis.
Eva, can you switch the slide? Can you switch the slide, please? Because we still have the old one.
What about now?
Okay, now it's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, okay. And now, is it full picture?
Yeah, everything is fine. Yeah,
okay,
you can continue.
So, so the objective is to have 10 million units in the next couple of years, then 30 million after that until 2030. So overall, we modeled 40 million new heat pumps, hydronic heat pumps. Just to compare this, the current heat pump stock in Europe is 17 million. So we want to add 40 million new heat pumps to this, and also stimulate the deployment of large-scale heat pumps in district heating systems together with geothermal and solar thermal energy. It is important to develop communal heating, which is both district heating but also renewable energy communities, and to exploit industrial heat, waste heat in the heating sector. So that is the REPowerEU, and I would like to add one more information, if I can, that in the meantime, the European Commission also adopted a new emergency regulation on heat pumps, which basically, that was, I believe, on the 11th of November, and this is now being discussed in the Council, which proposes to make it mandatory to have simplified permitting for small heat pumps up to 12 kilowatt-hour electric capacity. Similarly, simplified permitting for bigger heat pumps until up to 50 kilowatt electric capacity if there is an offsetting renewable electricity generation capacity from a renewable self-consumer. And we also proposed very short permitting periods for all heat pumps above that capacity range. So for big heat pumps, we proposed 3 months as a maximum permitting period. So that includes all types of heat pumps, geothermal, but also air source heat pumps. This proposal is now being discussed in the Council, and I think there are some clarifications brought to the text, but the purpose is to adopt this emergency regulation very quickly, and basically this would apply. It also obviously covers not just heat pumps, but other type of renewable energy projects, wind power projects, solar PV, and so on. And the idea is that this would apply until the adopted revised renewable energy directive is not entering into force. So it's around one and a half year. And after that, we would have much more long-term and structural solutions in the directives. Directive as adopted with the amendment proposed already also not just 2021, but this year 2022, which also covers permitting procedures, review of the permitting procedures. So there is a lot going on, and overall the key message is that this sector really needs to move now, because it's really the key sector for all the EU energy and climate objectives that otherwise will not be possible to reach economically, or just it would not be possible probably technically at all either. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eva, indeed. for your presentation, and please stay with us because we will have still some questions in the Slido later, so maybe you will also get one also from me later on. But now we will move to Biljana Grbić. Biljana, you are a consultant, so I see you as an independent person. So, I mean, it's not directly connected with the sector as we both are. So, what's your view on the transition of district heating? What could be improved, and where are the main barriers? What the Commission could do better? You have, you can cover it all. So.
Thank you for a nice introduction. First of all, I would like to thank organizers for excellent conference and really interesting topics. And I'm glad to be part of this panel and discuss this topic. I'm not consultant, is just contractual arrangement with energy community, but basically I represent here Energy Community Secretariat. And for those of you who are maybe not aware what is Energy Community, it is an international organization established back in 2005 by the European Union as a tool to extend its EU energy policy to countries who wish to become member states. So currently we have 9 contracting parties, Western Balkan 6 countries, so Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Montenegro and Serbia, and Georgia, Moldova and Ukraine. For example, Croatia was our contracting party. Once it became a member state, it ceased to be our contracting party. And task of the Secretariat is to support all these countries in aligning their national legislation and energy markets with EU energy legislation, not only energy, but also environment and climate. My everyday task relate to supporting contracting parties in aligning their legislation with regards heating and cooling matters and district heating matters, and I work in district heating company in Serbia. So I bring this local experience to, I would say, international level. With regards to our contracting parties and their district heating systems, Ukraine has the largest district heating system. It has around 1,500 district heating systems. Unfortunately, due to this war, all reforms that were happening before stopped, basically. I will use this opportunity to say one more task of Energy Community Secretariat, and this is support to Ministry of Energy of Ukraine in repairing its energy infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, district heating infrastructure. So basically we are intermediaries between donators and Ministry of Energy of Ukraine. We are supporting, logistically supporting energy companies who wish to donate energy equipment to Ukrainian energy companies. So I would like to I would use this opportunity to energy companies who want to donate to have in mind that they can approach Energy Community Secretariat, and we provide this I would say logistical support, and this is all authorized by European Commission. Basically, DG Energy give us authorization to be intermediary and to facilitate these donations. Yes, Ukraine have the largest district heating system, then Serbia has 60 district heating systems, Bosnia and Herzegovina has 33 district heating systems, and Kosovo, Moldova, and North Macedonia have district heating systems in several cities, so I would say, yeah, small, large. All of them, you guess, rely on fossil fuels, so mainly natural gas, but also coal. For example, Kosovo was basically relied 100% of coal. Now this year they initiated biomass cogeneration, so this reliance on coal is reduced. Anyway, in parallel with decarbonization of these district heating systems, what is also needed and missing is actually systematic reforms that relates to tariff setting and that relates to governance. District heating systems in our contracting parties have quite bad reputation in terms of managing and governing. First, district heating system cannot cover all costs of heat production because tariff model that is used basically do not incentivize investments. Even though there is legislation opportunity basically to align their tariffs with costs they have, they don't use it, and the reason is that local authorities basically who are in charge to approve tariffs are not allowing this to keep social peace. So this social political approach, I think it's a very big problem for district heating systems to move towards the decarbonization and investments. And basically, with regards to this governance, local authorities are not really interested to invest, and basically, probably they are not aware that how big this is, how big problem is. Yes, what is important for them is to have these low prices, which will keep consumers, I would say, quiet, but not to really restructure district heating companies so they perform well. Also, in largest district heating systems in Ukraine, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, local authorities are those who approve tariffs and who monitor district heating companies, which is also not good solution because local authorities are not experts. There is no expertise, regulatory expertise, and there is no independence and not enough transparency, I would say. But not to leave this picture of district heating companies or energy community in some dark picture, I want to say that there are many good projects going on with regards to integration of renewable energy and waste heat. This is done by the support of EBRD program, renewable energy for district for Western Balkan. So there are many projects in a pipeline of solar thermal with seasonal storage. Geothermal potential is huge in Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. They're part of this Pannonian basin, which is also Slovakia part along with Hungary. So geothermal potential is explored, but also waste heat recovery from data centers, waste heat recovery from wastewater treatment plants, and all the projects are currently in feasibility phases, but yes, we hope that these projects will be implemented in the upcoming years. And yes, I think the future of district heating systems, as Eva said before, it's not single source of heat energy, but like a mixture of different sources, renewable energy and waste heat. And I think that, yes, we all have to change this perception of having just one source of heat and basically making heating networks more flexible and heat sources more diversified. That would be all from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And now before we get to Slido question, I have one question for everybody. So we will start again with Wanda. We have heard from Eva Host that Commission is very much aiming on large-scale heat pumps as a new source for district heating. What's your view on that? What are the barriers for large-scale heat pumps to be developed? In Czech Republic, well, we are also considering going that way, but we also see for the moment some important barrier. The main one is the temperature level in the heating system. So I would like to see your situation and how do you see the way forward, because I think we can all agree that large-scale heat pump will be important technology for district heating. The question is how quickly can we really switch to that technology.
Okay. Actually, I think, Martin, that the situation of our countries is quite similar. We are on the same page more or less, because if you personally ask me, well, I'm a fan of a large-scale heat pumps, but the question is whether they are. This is the kind of the technology that is an answer for our the answer for needs of our countries, and nowadays they are not. They are not because of the reason that you mentioned. As I also said during my presentation, we have to, when we're talking about the decarbonization of district heating, we cannot just focus on the one part, which is the source of the heat. We have to see the whole picture, and the whole picture is also contains district heating networks and the building itself. And so it requires not only replacing the source, but modernization of the district heating networks and the thermomodernization of the buildings, which takes time, and it's very pricey. So in the future, these are the technologies that will be more commonly used, I believe, I hope so, in our countries. But for now, they are not able to. We are not able to deliver the heat with large-scale heat pumps in large agglomerations when they are, a huge demand for thermal megawatts during the day, and there is a high density of households. So I hope there will be a place for them in the future, as near as possible, but not yet. Actually, we started this year today discussion with the keynote of Mr. Duleba. He said that he's afraid of militarization of the national budgets. Well, actually, Poland is, it's like border country of Ukraine, so the militarization of our budget already started. We are focusing on, we are transferring a lot of funds and a lot of support to Ukraine, but also protect ourselves in the context of the war on the Ukraine. So these are not the, I remember, I mentioned that because I remember the discussion carried out by the government, our government 2 years ago, and there was a big focus on the thermomodernization of building. And right now we are focusing on, taking care of our energy generation. We are taking care of our energy prices to our end customers. And I cannot see this debate right now on a priority level, because of that, we have to acknowledge the fact that this time for large-scale heat pumps will be later than sooner as well.
Okay, thank you. And now I have a question for Eva. Eva, can you hear us? Huh? Eva, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you. Thank you.
Super.
Great. I have a question for you. You have said that the biomass. I understand that biomass doesn't earn really good reputation in Brussels. Partly it's well deserved, because all those imports of biomass overseas, etc. I understand that it's not really can be seen as not really environmentally friendly. But on the other hand, I'm totally not ashamed of what we are doing in the Czech Republic, when we are using really the residues from cutting the forest, which anyhow would be left, otherwise would be left in the forest and would get rotten, would release greenhouse gases and without any use. So I'm not really ashamed of this practice, which I'm not expert on biodiversity, but I don't see how it could harm biodiversity or whatever. because we are using just what's left after the quality wood is used for processing industry. So my question is, do you see any room for compromise, because you as a commission will be now or are now in the role of let's say of a honest broker between the parliament, which I think took a little bit extreme position on forest biomass, and the council. So do you see any reasonable compromise ahead of us, or what's your view?
Thank you for this question. Unfortunately, I will not be really able to tell you what is the likely outcome. This is not really, so I am not on the biomass file, and I follow it from some distance, but on the details I am not really privy. What I can see is that on the heating and cooling articles, there have been a good compromise between the co-legislators. I think both institutions aim to close the negotiations already this year, although there are still big political issues to be discussed. So I see a willingness to go forward on this file fast, which is not possible without a willingness to compromise also on the parliament side. But I don't know whether this will be the case on the biomass issue, which is one of the most controversial and most debated political question in this directive, in addition to transport. So there are really two big issues. One is biomass and the other is transport. So we will see how it goes. I see goodwill, but it cannot be excluded that that's not going to be very easy to agree on these points.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the answer. And now we have some questions already in the Slido, so we will turn to that. And the first one is what is the future of gas in district heating? When will it be possible to phase out all fossil fuels in this sector? So it's for your two ladies. So who would like to start first?
Yes, I would say that probably it will take years to phase out all fossil fuels in this sector, but we definitely should start thinking now about how to do that. Yes, I think there is no concrete answer when will it happen, but definitely it is a challenging topic.
I think it's the answer which is connected with the previous question, because actually when we will be able to replace fossil fuels like gas in the district heating sector, it will be probably the moment where we will be able to put there large-scale heat pumps, and the network will be adjusted to this temperature, and the modernization of the building will be finalized or will be much more advanced. So this is the moment, right?
Okay, I see. So. Well, if I can partly try to answer it also, I think that with gas we are basically buying some time, especially for the building stock to get reconstructed, because that's the main challenge in the end. Because unless we get to lower temperatures with district heating, it's very difficult to use other sources the Commission would like us to use. But the condition is that we need to be able to deliver the heat to the buildings, which then need to be refurbished to be able to accept low temperature heating. And before that happens, they still need to be warm. They still need to have at least 18 degrees Celsius in their household. So So that's the challenge. On the other hand, we see that it's not possible to keep coal beyond 2030. I think there is now broad consensus in the heating sector throughout Europe, including Poland. I would say that coal will end somewhere close to 2030 in district heating. So, but we are not able to immediately to replace it all with renewable energy for the reasons I have said. That we need to get reconstructed the building sector. So unfortunately, we don't have the colleague from the buildings sector in the Commission, where I would have also important question because I really like what the Council did on EPBD on this directive. I think it was reasonable what they did. Maybe we can still discuss, the ambition. Europe always discusses the ambition, but overall, I think the direction is right. So I hope the Parliament will somehow follow it, and that we will get to some reasonable framework for the building sector transition, because district heating can follow. We cannot be, in advance of what's going in the building sector. But well, we have some more questions. One is for Eva directly. How do you see the possibility, Eva? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
How do you see the possibility to apply heat pumps on mass scale with the current energy prices?
Well, heat pumps are very efficient, especially the ground source heat pumps, because below 16 meter, the temperature is constant. So the heat source is not affected by outside temperature, like the case with the air source heat pumps, where the performance goes down below 0 or below -5. So we are looking at least 3, but generally 4, 5 or higher COP. That means that 1 unit of electricity can provide 4, 5, 6, 7 units of heat. Now, actually, the current energy prices are so high that basically anybody or any kind of supply that comes on board should be very profitable. So the high energy prices hopefully are probably going to invite a lot of new investment and a lot of new production capacity, simply because they are very profitable. So I don't see that this is a problem. It's actually something that makes the payback period for heat pumps much more attractive.
Okay, thank you. And next question is, who should pay the biggest share for this rapid transformation of district heating? So, who wants to answer this?
Can start, yes. Well, I think that this investment fee is supposed to be part of the tariffs, definitely, but the tariff structure also should reflect other changes in district heating in terms of better governance, oversized employment to be cut, so that other costs that are not necessary are reduced, and those costs which are necessary, such as costs of investments, to be justified. So definitely consumers will pay one part of this transformation of district heating systems, but also national authorities are supposed to support all this transformation through support schemes, the same as happened for electricity.
Okay, yeah. Who will pay for transformation in Poland?
Well, I cannot agree with you, because actually I think that we should, governments, also European Union representatives, should protect European Union citizens. And I don't think that putting all the burden on them would be a perfect solution, especially in times of a crisis that is impending. So I would rather expect our policymakers to implement solutions, subsidies, or other tools that would make this transformation like consistent, as I said, and sustainable, because it's already going. There is no risk for us that we will turn back from this part. I think everyone agree, but just let us do it in a like sustainable manner, and let our citizens, of all countries in European Union, to not suffer from the rapid transformation.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think in the end, it's always the customer who pays the bill. Even though in this case, of course, we need to use EU money as much as possible, especially, for example, modernization fund, which is important source in Czech Republic. Hopefully, it will be possible even after the changes in the directive are made. So. We have another question. Do we need district heating at all? Why can't households just switch to their own heat pumps? So.
Heating is definitely a good solution where in places where there is high heat demand. But for cities, municipalities where there is no great heat demand, definitely individual solutions are better. But in contracting parties of the energy community, district heating is quite developed, the same as in Central and Eastern European countries. This is the heritage that we have like from communist time, and definitely should be used. It should be abandoned, it should be transformized and decarbonized. But yes, where there is no district heating network and where heat demand is not high, individual solutions are totally okay.
Well, I will try to answer this one because I really like this question, so I will try to answer it. Well, we desperately need district heating. We desperately need it. And the reason is very simple. 95% of those heat pumps in individual households will be air-to-water heat pumps. Those heat pumps in low temperatures, like below zero, work as direct electric heating. They have the factor of 1, so they are just electric heating. If we replace everything with this electric heating, you can see in France what that means. It means huge peaks demands of for electricity. That's the first problem with this approach. Second problem is that you have very limited capacity of electricity network in the cities. They are very limited, and you will be barely able to, at least what I see in Czech Republic, we will have a really hard time to go for heat pumps in individual family houses. But it's total nonsense to try to implement this into the large blocks of flats, because simply you will quickly run out of the electric capacity you have in the city. And to increase that capacity, to double it or triple it, it's for decades. It's not for 1 year, it's not for 10 years, it's for decades. So if we want to have rapid transition, we desperately need district heating to decarbonize it and even to expand it to replace local gas boilers, because we cannot achieve it we cannot achieve the same with heat pumps, with local heat pumps. And you have heat sources like sewage water. How do you use heat from sewage water with individual heat pump in your in one building? You cannot do that because you have number of sources in the city. You have waste which can be used to produce energy. You have heat from metro systems which is used in London. So you have number of sources which basically cannot be used on the building level. They have to be used on the city level, and then you need district heating to deliver that energy. Sorry for being a little bit long. I have maybe a little bit overstepped my mandate as a moderator, but I have to answer this one. And we have one last question. which is what's better, carbon duty or carbon tax. So, well, it may be, okay, it looks like, it looks like this one is for the other panel. Okay, so one last word. What do you see, how do you see the future of district heating in your country or in your area?
Well, depends if these reforms that about which I talked are implemented. Yes, definitely. With the implementation of better tariff setting and better governance, this district heating could have a bright future. But without it, I'm not sure. Yes.
Yeah, I see. Optimistic. No, I think at least my company, we're gonna do our best to deliver fully phase out of a coal within upcoming years till 2030. Of course, bearing in mind that our gas-fired CHPs will be also hydrogen ready, so they have additional potential in the future also for completely green transition. So yeah, we'll be okay with that.
Okay.
But don't make it rapid and like counterproductive.
Okay. Haste makes waste. Okay.
Exactly.
Eva, you have last word. So.
Yes, thank you very much, Martin. And I was very happy to hear your words on the importance of district heating systems, and I fully agree that the heat networks could be absolutely a central solution for the issue that we face. But for that, really it is needed that the district heating sector and companies take up on that challenge. And they realize the potential that they have to start investing in new renewable and waste heat production capacities. They start upgrading their networks so they can provide they can go for very high temperature to low temperature systems. I agree that for that there is a need to also transform the building sector. So there should be a dialogue and coordination between the building policies and the district heating policies. But that means that the sector needs to be very proactive. It has a historical chance to become a really central solution and the big winner of the energy transition. But unfortunately on the ground I don't see that much happening. There are very good examples here and there, so the potential, the promise has been fully proven, but I don't really see too much effort to make that happen. And the sector was not really heeding to the urgency that this needs to be happen already in this decade, and please do not delay it for another decade because it is going to be too late.
Okay, thank you for this. And since we used all the questions and I don't have any others, so thank you everybody for joining this panel. It's now over, and I think we have 15 minutes break or something like that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.